Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. And, today we're going to be looking at Confess by Colleen Hoover. And,
Right.
it's a really interesting one.
I love Colleen Hoover.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
She's great. And so this one really stood out to me because of the whole concept. The book itself features all of these real anonymous confessions from readers.
It's so cool, right?
Yeah. And it's not just like, a collection of confessions. It's actually woven into this really captivating love story.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of dive deep into what makes those confessions so powerful.
Okay.
And how they shape Owen's art, which we'll get into, and also what they reveal about us as people, about human nature.
How exciting.
Yeah. So just to give you a little taste of what we're dealing with here, you've got Auburn. She's a young single mom
Okay.
who comes to Dallas looking for a fresh start. She's struggling financially and ends up taking a second job at this art studio called Confess.
I love that name. So perfect.
And then you have Owen, the owner. He's this super talented artist, but he's got this really guarded personality.
Right. You can tell he's got some baggage.
Totally. And like the confessions themselves are everywhere. They're plastered all over the studio windows, and they become like this central part of the story.
It's such a cool visual. I can just imagine it.
Yeah. And that's actually where it all starts. Auburn arrives in Dallas.
Yeah.
She's escaping this difficult past. She needs to start over.
Yeah. New city, new job. It's like she's trying to reinvent herself.
Exactly. And so she ends up at Confess just by chance, really. She needs the money.
Makes sense.
But she's immediately drawn to these confessions. She's captivated by them.
Well, yeah, who wouldn't be? I mean, these are like raw, unfiltered glimpses into people's lives.
Right. It's like stepping into this secret world of shared experiences,
It's like we all have these hidden stories, these secrets that we carry around.
Exactly. And even though these confessions are anonymous, you start to feel this sense of connection with the people who wrote them.
Totally, like you're not alone in your struggles. Everyone's going through something.
Yeah. And then there's Owen, the artist, behind it all. I mean,
He's such a fascinating character.
yeah, he lives and breathes his art. Like literally his apartment's right above the studio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's constantly surrounded by these confessions.
I can see how that would influence his work.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He uses them as inspiration for his paintings. Transforming these like whispers of heartbreak and joy into these powerful visual narratives.
Wow. It's like he's giving a voice to the voiceless.
Right. And there's this real depth to his art, this like raw emotion and vulnerability.
But he's also holding back, you can tell.
Oh, totally. He's got this wall up, and it all stems from his past. He lost his brother in a car accident.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, he was a drunk driver. And it's clear that he's never really dealt with the grief and the guilt.
So he channels it into his art?
Yeah. It's like his way of coping.
It's interesting how the confessions become like a catalyst for deeper conversations, Some of them are lighthearted, funny even.
Yeah, like little snippets of everyday life.
But then others are just gut-wrenching, like the one about the woman who can't stop comparing her life to how it was before her love died.
Oh, yeah, that one stayed with me.
And then there's the one from the mother who feels like she's failed her son.
Ugh. It's so relatable.
Yeah, huh?
We all have those moments where we feel like we're not enough.
But then there are the confessions that are just dark, really dark, like the one that Auburn finds about the father sexually abusing his daughter.
Oh, God, yeah, that one was tough to read.
It's a reminder that there's so much pain and darkness in the world, things we don't always see or talk about.
And it's that confession, the one about the father, that really shakes Auburn. It forces her to confront some of her own past traumas.
And it also starts to create this tension between her and Owen. Because he's so connected to these confessions.
Right. It's like they're bringing up all these complicated emotions for both of them.
It's clear there's a connection between them right from the start.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They have this playful banter, this undeniable chemistry.
I love that scene where they dance together. It's so intimate.
Yeah. And Owen wants to paint her. He's so drawn to her, but he's terrified to let anyone in,
He's afraid of getting hurt.
Exactly. And then just as things start to heat up between them, we're introduced to Trey, and things get really complicated.
Oh, Trey. Yeah, he throws a wrench in everything.
Totally. He's Adam's brother, so he's like a constant presence in Auburn's life.
And he's got this possessiveness about him, especially when it comes to Auburn and her son, AJ.
Oh, he's still the overprotective.
Yeah.
It's like he wants to control everything and everyone around them.
It makes you wonder what his true motives are,
Yeah. Is he really looking out for them, or is it something else?
Yeah. And then he finds out about Owen's past, his arrest for drug possession.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't go over well.
Nope. He uses it against... Owen tries to drive a wedge between him and Auburn.
And it works for a while.
Hmm.
It creates this huge conflict that threatens to tear them apart.
It's like their pasts are coming back to haunt them.
Right. And it just makes everything so much more complicated.
It's like a ticking time bomb. You just know something's got to give.
And it does. But
Yeah.
that's the story for another time.
I can't wait to hear what happens next.
Oh, it's a wild ride.
Yeah.
Get ready for some twists and turns.
It's not just about the love triangle, though. It really makes you think about, like, family dynamics and how blurry the lines can get between love and, like, possessiveness.
Right.
And it's all tied up with how we try to protect the people we care about. Like, Trey's motives are so complex. Is he really doing what's best for Auburn and AJ, or is there something more selfish at play?
It's a good question. And it's interesting how Trey's actions actually lead to Owen having to face his past head on.
Yeah.
I mean, he ends up in jail.
Yeah.
And it becomes this turning point for him, not just for the plot, but for his whole character development.
Yeah, he's forced to confront his demons, right?
Totally. We see him wrestling with his addiction and the guilt and grief over his brother's death. There's this really powerful scene with his dad where he finally calls him out for enabling his addiction. Yeah, it's like this huge moment of truth for Owen. And while he's in jail, he has all this time to think about his choices.
Yeah.
And really come to terms with the pain he's caused and the pain he's been carrying around.
It's like a forced period of introspection.
Right. And meanwhile, Auburn is dealing with her own mess.
Yeah.
I mean, Lydia, AJ's grandmother, is constantly judging her and controlling her access to AJ.
Oh, she's awful.
And then you've got Trey, who sees how vulnerable Auburn is, and he uses his love for AJ to try to manipulate her.
Ugh, classic Trey.
He promises her more time with AJ if she'll agree to be with him. It's just so messed up.
Colleen Hoover doesn't shy away from the tough stuff,
No, she doesn't.
Like, Auburn isn't perfect. She's making mistakes. She's torn between what she wants and what's best for her son.
Yeah, it's like she can't win.
And it makes you think about those compromises we make in the name of family and the tough choices we have to make as parents.
It's heartbreaking to see Auburn being manipulated like that, especially since she's trying so hard to be a good mom. Trey's tactics are just so toxic, like he's holding AJ hostage.
Yeah, it makes you question, like, where's the line between protecting your loved ones and controlling them?
Exactly. It's a really fine line. And it all blows up in this huge confrontation between Auburn, Owen, and Trey. Trey finds Auburn and Owen together, and he just loses it. His possessiveness turns violent.
That's scary.
It's really intense, and it shows how dangerous those unchecked emotions can be.
And how much courage it takes to stand up for yourself and protect others.
Absolutely. And Emery Auburn's roommate is amazing in this scene.
Yeah.
She steps in to protect Auburn from Trey's attack. It's a powerful moment of female solidarity.
I love that.
And this whole confrontation ultimately leads to a chance for justice and reconciliation.
Okay.
Auburn actually plays a key role in getting Owen released from jail.
How does she do that?
She goes to his father, the one person who can expose what Trey's been doing.
That's smart.
And in the end, we get this bittersweet resolution. Auburn is reunited with AJ, and she and Owen get a second chance at love.
Oh, that's nice. But it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
Hoover keeps it real. She shows that the scars from their past don't just magically disappear.
Yeah, trauma doesn't just vanish overnight.
Exactly. It makes you think about the long road to healing, and learning to trust again and finding hope after going through something so difficult.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, would Owen's art even have the same impact if people knew where his inspiration came from?
Right. Would they be able to separate the artist from the stories?
Exactly. And what about the people who shared their confessions? They trusted that they would remain anonymous.
Yeah. Would they feel betrayed, like their privacy had been violated?
It's a tough one.
It really is. It's like this ethical dilemma,
Yeah.
On the one hand, if people knew the truth about Owen's inspiration, his art could reach a wider audience, touch more lives.
Yeah.
But then there's the risk of exploiting those who share their deepest secrets.
It's like, where do you draw the line between creative expression and respecting people's privacy? Right. And it's something that artists have always struggled with, how to use personal experiences, even those of others, in a way that feels authentic, but also ethical.
It's a balancing act for sure.
And, in a way, Owen's dilemma kind of reflects the whole theme of the book, Confession.
Oh, yeah, totally.
When we share our secrets, even anonymously, we make ourselves vulnerable. We open ourselves up to judgment, rejection, even harm.
But there's also the potential for healing and connection.
Right. It's a risk we take whenever we choose to be vulnerable, whether it's through our art, our relationships, or even those anonymous confessions we leave for strangers to find.
It's about finding the courage to be open and honest.
So why does all of this matter? Why should we care about Auburn and Owen's story?
Well, because it's more than just a love story. It's a story that makes us think about our own lives,
Yeah.
our own choices, how we deal with relationships, family forgiveness. It challenges us to look at the power of secrets, how they can weigh us down and how liberating it can be to finally confess them.
And those confessions, they really stick with you, you know?
Yeah.
They make you think about all the stories people are carrying around inside them.
It makes you realize we're all connected in a way.
Exactly. We're all part of this shared human experience.
Yeah.
So if you could confess something anonymously, what would it be?
That's a good question.
And how do you think sharing that secret, even without revealing your identity, could bring you a sense of relief? Or maybe even make you feel less alone?
That's something to think about.
It really is. Maybe it'll even inspire us to be a little more open and honest in our own lives.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, a little more compassionate.
And who knows, maybe by sharing our own stories, we'll discover that we're not so different after all.
Maybe we'll find a little bit of ourselves in the stories of others.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Colleen Hoover's Confess. It's been a really thought-provoking journey.
It has definitely a book that stays with you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the stories that shape us now.